Travel first. My name's Alex First. Joining me, a guy who spent 19 days, I was going to say years. I wanted to dispatch him for 19 years. It didn't work. Chris Coleman, 19 days at sea. He's back on dry land. Hang on, there's a photo in the background. Is that a torpedo or a ship? My golly, it's long.
That is the Ovation of the Seas. That is where I spent 19 days. And I took that photo. That's not a drone photo. I took that photo when, in a little while, I'll explain how I took that
I was
photo.
going to say, yeah, that's incredible. Well, actually, I asked you to walk the plank, so maybe that was off the side of the ship. That's what it looks like. And hang on. I got to ask you, those yellow things, I presume they're lifeboats.
They are, yes. Those are the
lifeboats. And there's a lot of them? There looks like there's a lot of them.
I didn't count, but there's plenty. So yes.
No.
And my room, by the way, you asked where my room was. Yeah, and I'll just show you.
We'll get to them in a moment. But the reason behind lifeboats is that I've just seen Titanic the musical.
Oh God, here we go.
We should be. I'm sorry. The reality is that one of the lines in this show was that, unfortunately, 1,517 people died on the Titanic. There were 20 lifeboats, and they weren't full, and there should have been 54. So there you go.
There's many more. Those ones there. I'm assuming you can see my little arrow moving around here. If not, I apologise. Hang on, let me do this. Let me do it this way.
I can't actually see the arrow. No, but
here we go. Now you will. There we go. So those ones there, they're quite sizable.
Right.
Yes, and then there are some smaller ones up the back, and there's more on the other side of the ship that obviously you can't see. My room, by the way, if you're wondering, was just above that arrow there. So underneath this area. So when I showed you the view from the balcony,
is that the front or back of the ship?
That's the back of the ship. That's the back of the ship.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Now, I promise I will show you a bit later on how I took that photo. Okay, I promise.
Yeah,
because what we're talking about today is some of the activities on board. Now, we did touch on this before, so this is sort of part two, if you like, which is a brief touch on some of the activities on board, and also shuffleboard. Yes.
No. For some reason, when I
good Lord. Why am I doing this? Why do I allow myself to be put through this with you?
When I think ships, maybe it's traditional, but I think shuttlecock. Is that still a thing, or have we moved on from there?
Okay, shuttlecock is badminton. Okay.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. Right, fine.
You could in theory play badminton on the ship in the indoor activities area. On Ovation of the Seas, it's called the Sky Deck. And I talked about the Sky Deck. You may remember I talked about the Sky Deck on a previous episode, because we had we had some footage of the what was it, the Dodgem cars that I would love to show you again, but I can't find it. So apologies there. And now my computer has decided it's not going to let me share anything, which is just superb. It's superb timing from me.
We'll chat away. So just tell me about the activities. There's a plentiful supply of activities. That's something that you made clear.
There's plenty. Now, I did mention in a previous edition some of the activities, and amongst those activities were the Dodgem cars, and other things that go in the Skyplex area include basketball. They have indoor soccer tournaments up there, and court sports. Now, they didn't have badminton while I was there, but what they did have, which amazed me, was a thing called I've gone blank on it. Pickleball. Pickleball. Have you ever heard of pickleball?
Yeah. No. You told us. You mentioned that the other day. What is pickleball?
It is sort of, if you can imagine, a game like table tennis played on a large court, so not on a table. So and it's huge. It is massive. There were people lined up to play this.
Sorry, I'm totally confused. It's on a large table, or it's not on a table?
No, it's on a large. It's on a large court. It's on a court not as big as a tennis court, but considerably larger than a table.
But is it outside or inside?
Well, you can play it. That's the thing. You can play it outdoors or indoors. It is sweeping in the US. There's a major league pickleball competition in the States, and people like Tom Brady are buying into it. And LeBron James is buying into it.
As light as it is with a table tennis ball?
But they play it with a ball that's actually probably remarkably similar size to my microphone there. But it's hard plastic with holes in it. It's very difficult to hit it hard. It has to bounce on the first. When the server serves, it has to bounce, and then when the returner returns, it has to bounce again, and then you can start playing volleys and stuff. It is going to be huge, this game. That's all I can say. Everyone.
Who invented pickleball?
I don't know. Americans.
Mr. Pickle?
I don't know why it's called pickleball.
Hang on.
Why have we got stuck in this? Why have we got stuck here, Alex?
Because, hang on. The Jewish International Film Festival is on at the moment, and if you go to a cinema that's showing it, they're handing out pickles. So I'm thinking, well, maybe there's... Well, I don't know.
Maybe there's a thing in it. Maybe there's a thing in that. So, yeah.
I'm going to Google this while you're talking to me. Pickleball. Okay, what else?
Go for your life. So there's plenty of physical activities. Now, there's also, and I don't know your thoughts on gambling, but we do need to mention that one of the things that you can do on a cruise ship is actually gamble. There are plenty of gambling options, and in the casino you can gamble. They also have, and this is the bit that may intrigue you more than anything else. They have regular tournaments. So you can have a poker tournament. Now, I am not a very good poker player. Okay, I'm perfectly willing to admit that I'm not a very good poker player. I am more of a blackjack man, and lo and behold, blackjack tournaments. So you put your money in. It's about $25, depending on the cruise and the ship and so on. But about $25.
That's the most important part. How much can you win?
Winner takes all. 500 cash.
Okay, 500 US cash. All right.
500 US cash.
Pickleball was first played in 1965 in Washington, in a place called Bainbridge Island, Washington. And
I told you, Americans.
Yeah, exactly. An indoor and outdoor racket/paddle sport where two players or four players hit a perforated hollow polymer ball over a 36-inch high net using solid-faced paddles. Opponents on either side of the net hit the ball back and forth until one side commits a rule infraction. There we go. That's the. I'm thoroughly underwhelmed, but there you go. That's great. No, I should be excited. I should be very excited, shouldn't I?
Trust me, this thing it's going to be huge. They're trying to get it into the Olympics.
No.
Yes, they are trying to get it into the Olympics. Oh. I wish them luck.
Hang on.
Seriously.
Oh, well, I'm looking at a paddle, by the way. The paddle's black. The paddle I'm looking at.
There were all sorts of colours. They're solid. They're not like tennis rackets. They're solid. Similar in size to a tennis racket, but solid across the front.
Wow.
But there's some pretty high-tech stuff around as well. I don't know whether it makes much difference when you're hitting a plastic wiffle ball. Anyway.
Do you know Association of Pickleball?
For those of you who wanted to hear about cruise life, we will get back to it. I promise. It's coming. By degrees, we're getting there. Association
of Pickleball Professionals, the Professional Pickleball Association, and the Major League Pickleball.
That's what I said. There's Major League Pickleball, and like Tom Brady, the American footballer, LeBron James, the famous basketballer, Kim Clijsters, the ex-tennis player. They're all investing in it. They're putting money into this thing. It is going to be absolutely massive.
All joking aside, there's para pickleball as well. Pickleball. Yeah. So wheelchair pickleball.
It's the game for everyone. It's the
Noise
game for
controversy.
everyone.
When the hard pickleball paddle strikes the hard ball, it produces a sharp popping sound. The constant sound during play has generated conflict. Oh, great controversy between pickleball court owners and other nearby property owners. Now, I think this needs investigation. You need to go to the United States and spend at least a month investigating controversy to do with pickleball.
Oh, no, at some stage I'm going to do more than that. I'm going to actually get involved in pickleball in Australia. I'm going to go and find it. In Australia.
Sadly, you can call it rugby league, rugby union, and pickleball. Okay. Yeah, let's move on under other things.
Let's move on. Anyway, I was saying that in the casino there are tournaments, blackjack tournament. You'll be delighted to know that I entered both blackjack tournaments and made it through to the final in both of them, and won precisely.
Does that mean you got money?
I won. No, I won nothing. It's winner takes all. You've got to be the last. You've got to have the most at the end. Mm-hmm. I made it through in this. I was the first person out in the final. Oh. The first one. The second tournament, I made it through to the last round of cards. And still won nothing, but there you go. They also have they have blackjack, they have poker. They also have tournaments for poker machines, for slots. Basically, you hit the button, as fast as you can, and again, you can win $500 for that. If that's the thing. Anyway, we're not encouraging gambling. I'm just talking about it as an activity.
Seeing we're talking about gambling, we're talking in the same day that the world's biggest lottery of 2.9 billion Australian dollars was drawn. I'm not sure what the result is, but I think a lot of Aussies. Pardon me?
It jackpotted. It
Again?
Didn't go off. Mm.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Gee.
yeah. So it's 1.9 billion US, which is three something with our Pacific peso not doing well at the moment. So there you go. Now, can I backtrack? Now, I did promise that I would share how I took that wonderful photo of the ship from outside the ship.
Did you do that swinging arm?
I did do that swinging arm. Which is called the North Star. And would you like to see the North Star in action?
I'd love to. Yeah, please.
Okay, then let's do this. When I do this, here's the North Star. Now, this is a time-lapse video. I'll take you back to the start. So this altogether is about 8 minutes worth. I have sped this up a little bit. And it goes out and around, and then it goes down, and then it comes back in, and away we go.
So it's an electronic arm, yeah?
It's an electronic hydraulics. It's big. When it's at its maximum point, you're almost 100 meters above sea level. It's 300 feet above sea level when it's at its maximum point. And this is how it comes down.
So do you book this? I mean, is this something that you need to pay for, or it's part and parcel of the trip, or what?
Now, on our trip, there was no additional charge for it. It was included. Right. Let's just roll that again while we're still talking. It'd be good. In our trip, there was no. So at that point, that's 300 feet above sea level. There was no additional charge for it. I don't know the process on other cruises because there was a facility for them to charge for it, but I think it may be that you get one complimentary booking and then additional ones you have to pay for. But
you're talking about
on some cruises.
You're talking other cruises. For this one, you could go for multiple rolls around in that particular North Star.
Yes.
Okay, but I mean, and I did. Was it popular?
It was very, very popular. You had to book. Now, having said that, on many rides, because the capacity is about 14 people, on many rides, you might be able to get up there and there'd be one spot free, so you could go up and jump in. But sometimes it was booked out for hours. It is also very much weather dependent. I think the safety margin was 25 knots. If the wind was above 25 knots, then it could not operate. And they took the safety very, very seriously.
Is that common on ships? This North Star equivalent, or
no? This is a Royal Caribbean in this class of ship. Okay. So this is exclusive to Royal Caribbean, and the view from up there is magic. They also, in some ports, not all, but in some ports, you can actually go on port day. You can actually go in and they'll take you up for a look around. So if you stay on the ship, you can have a look around at. So
it's the equivalent of a Ferris wheel, really, isn't it? I mean, it's
sort of, yeah. It's that kind of height, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of height. And this was introduced first when? I mean, are we talking about relatively recently to one of the cruises or one of the ships?
It is only available on Royal Caribbean. So, and it is relatively recent. Pardon me. The Ovation of the Seas was launched in 2016, and I think there were a couple of ships in the class prior to that. So you're talking less than 10 years old. So in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of people would have done this as an activity. I really do recommend it. If you're not great on heights, it's no fun. But if you're great on heights, it's magic.
But you know what's interesting? I mean, the challenge here is they're spending a fortune on new cruise liners, right? And it's great. I mean, people are obviously loving the experience. They're constantly trying to top one another. They're trying to do something new, and it must be so challenging. This is a great idea. I really do like it because it gives you a different perspective. What more can they add is the sort of question. I mean, it's up to the imagination, and then you've got to get the engineering and the safety requirements, making sure that it's not going to cost lives, obviously. So do you know what the next big thing is? I mean, what haven't we seen?
You may remember when we were talking while I was at sea and we were using the Boom internet there from on board Ovation. We were on board just through luck. There was no planning to this for the launch event for Icon of the Seas, the new class. Yes. And I think that's the next big thing for Royal Caribbean is what else can you do that takes people off the ship, but still on the ship, and they're going to set up a walkway around the outside of the big.
Wow!
If I go back to my photo, if you remember, there was the big crown, the big anchor on the side. So you'll walk out, and the walkway will then fall away, and you'll it's part walkway, part zip line. So it's a real thrill.
It's funny because it reminds me of what you do on the Gold Coast and like Sydney Harbour Bridge and whatever. You're cascading yourself around a ship. It's interesting because you know how lots of when you go up to various heights, they've got a clear panel where you can walk out on the side and look down and, oh my golly, that sort of thing. It's all of these are wow experiences to me because, I mean, who would have thought you could do that sort of stuff on a ship? It's pretty impressive.
Look, they are amazingly inventive, amazingly creative. And that's all I can say is...
Can I ask you, this is important, when you know how, because you've done a lot of talking about the food, and I suppose what I'm interested in, do you have to, and if you've got a really nice meal, do you have to sit down and eat it inside, or can you literally take it away and watch the world go by while you're eating outside, or you can't do that?
Depends which restaurant you're at. There are a number of factors in that. You can ask to take your food back to your room. You can go and sit on the balconies or in the open areas and eat.
Yeah, I'm talking about balconies or outside or whatever. Okay.
You can. You can't do it from every restaurant. You can't do it from every food venue. But there's certainly enough food options that you can grab the food and take it out. We would quite often after our main menu, after our main meal, we would quite often take our dessert back to the room and have it in the room later because a little bit full because plenty of the food.
Was there anything
we ate all the foods?
Get? Anything you couldn't get that you really wanted on board? I'm really curious. Any food?
That's a really good question.
Yeah. Maybe you didn't ask.
Well, I certainly never asked. Certainly never got knocked back for anything that we asked for. But if I'd asked for diced elephant on toast or something, they'd probably say no. We haven't got enough bread.
No, I'll be practical. I'll give you an example, and this won't surprise you at all. I'm lactose intolerant. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't drink full fat milk. I want skinny milk that is not lactose. Now, I can get that really easily, and it's very, very popular in supermarkets, and it literally rushes off the shelf. I don't know, but when I ask for that in a restaurant or whatever, often they don't have it. They'll have full cream, but they won't have skinny.
They had low fat milk because I always have low fat milk in my coffee, and I had a lot of specialty coffees on board. I'll have 2 or 3 coffees a day every day, and with low fat milk. Whether that's low fat lactose, whether they could do the low fat lactose free milk, I don't know. That is a question you would need to ask them. They do, however.
Just a curiosity.
They did have soy milk.
Else.
Yeah, they did have soy milk, oat milk, almond milk, all those other equivalents.
One of the things that I'm thinking of, even if you couldn't get it, theoretically, if you're going to be a passenger on board and you know that that's an intolerance or something you want, I would make a guess that you could probably mention that ahead of time and they could then get it on board. I mean, it's not an expensive item, but I'm just guessing that they would presumably cater for something like that if you told them.
Best thing to do would be to ask beforehand, yeah. But certainly that would be the best thing to do would be to ask. But they certainly do go out of their way to make sure that they cater for as many dietary desires as possible. So, I can't answer 100% surely on their behalf.
Okay,
but
let's move on. Let's move on. What else?
Now, you did ask me the other day, and I talked about the art because when I was doing one of the sessions, I love one of the installations.
Yeah, go for
it. Well, I don't know much about art, Alex, but I know what I like, and so I went round the ship and I actually took some pictures of things that I like.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you my assessment as to whether I like what you like. But let's go.
Okay.
For it. All right. So
don't. I have no idea what this is called, other than that I've written down it was a large art installation.
Nice and colourful, terrific. Yeah, it's good.
So that was nice. So we'll move across. Nice. This is more sort of modern art. That's I like that's actually stuff stuck to the wall, so it actually came out.
Wow, impressive.
So very very tactile.
And you can buy this stuff. Oh my God.
No. This is part of their collection. This was on board and mounted permanently to the wall. This was interesting. Those are like oars, the ends of oars, and they move. So they all move together in sort of rowboat fashion, hanging down from the roof.
Oh, okay. Do they clang against one another or not? No,
no, it's very clever. They don't touch one another. So it's just a lot of thoughts gone into that. So there's that one.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the art is video art, and this one, these shapes move and scroll around across 4 video screens, 4 very large video screens that are joined together.
Yep.
Now this is as you walk up the stairs. I like this. It just caught my eye.
Amusement.
Oh, sorry, hang on, we'll go back. There we go. Amusement, yes. If I zoom in, actually, can I zoom in? Can I see what it's called?
We can all read it. I was just me being thick. That's good.
Yeah, okay. No. I was just trying to read the actual bit, the tag down here, but there's not sufficient focus on there. So this is so one of the things you can do is you can use the art to remind you of which floor you're at on the stairs. So in every in every landing on every stairwell on the ship there are pictures. I like this. I'm sorry that the picture's crooked, and I should have probably straightened it beforehand, but that was just very sparkly. Yeah. This was great. The pandas were awesome.
Oh, sensei! Is that the panda's tummy?
That's the panda and the back of his head. So it's like a panda mugshot.
Back of his head. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's the back. That's the front.
Very good choices, Christopher. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Good.
And then this is the final one. This is not the art around the ship. This is towel art, and I'm not sure if I showed you my final collection of towel animals.
Yes, you did. Because I asked you what the nappy was behind you, and you told me it was towel art. That is very clever.
So this was the full collection. We kept all of them as they came through. So we have a lobster, we have a chicken, a penguin.
What are the eyes made out of?
They're those little craft eyes that you can buy. Our cabin attendant had sheets and sheets and sheets of them. So everything could have eyes, whether it was the mermaid or the tortoise.
But you use this stuff, do you? You unravel it and use it as a towel after you've admired it, or do you just leave it there?
No. Most people use them. We decided we would set up a menagerie on the couch. So
that's brilliant,
and that's of course surrounded by the birthday cake that they gave me as well. So there you go.
That's really good. Because you had a birthday on board, did you?
Well, I sort of had a birthday on board in that my birthday was the day we crossed the international date line from east to west.
Right.
We missed my birthday.
You did.
Suffice to say, they gave me cake the day before my birthday should have been. They gave me cake the day after my birthday would have been. And then when we went into another restaurant a couple of days later, they said, "Oh, we hear you missed your birthday. Here, have some cake." No, I got birthday cake 3 times. Yeah.
You have come up with something brilliant. If you want to cruise across the international date line in the right direction every year, that means that you're forever young.
That's my plan. Yes. I mean, I do plan to live forever.
I like that idea
so
very much.
far, so good. But this is helping.
This is what eternal youth is all about. You have come up with a cracker, Mr. Coleman. I'm most impressed. Now, any final thoughts? What else? Anything more?
No, not this time. I've deliberately teased you though by not referring to the onboard entertainment. And next time we speak, Alex, we're actually going to go into the theatre and music venues on board Ovation of the Seas.
Have we got? Have we got hootin' and hollerin'? Have we got Western? What sort of? Give me a bit more tease.
We've got all sorts of stuff. We have a very large theatre. We have the and you may remember. I think it was on the very first episode from on board. I talked about Pixels, the high tech cabaret show. I've got some stills. I've got some photos of that to try and capture this thing. $28 million worth of technology to put this show on. And I've got some photos that hopefully will demonstrate that. So if that doesn't whet your appetite, plus live theatre, plus live music, and a heap of other things that I will talk about next time we get together.
Well, I've been so grateful to speak to the official pickleball commentator who's going to do lots of investigation. I'm going to hear lots more about pickleball, whether you like it or not. Christopher Coleman, a pleasure to talk to you on Travel First.